When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to love. Marcus Aurelius. Love is one of the most beautiful aspects of life, yet it can also be one of the most challenging. Have you ever felt anxious in your relationship, overthought small conflicts, or feared losing someone you love? You're not alone. Love, for many, becomes a source of stress rather than peace. We attach our happiness to another person. We expect them to always understand us, never disappoint us, and somehow complete us. But when things don't go as planned, emotions take over. Anger, insecurity, and fear cloud our judgment. This is where Stoicism offers profound wisdom. While often seen as a philosophy of discipline and resilience, Stoicism also provides timeless lessons on love, how to cultivate deep connection without attachment, handle conflict with wisdom, and love fully without losing yourself in the process. In this video, you'll discover 7 powerful Stoic principles that can transform the way you approach relationships. By the end, you'll have practical tools to love with clarity, patience, and strength, free from fear and emotional turmoil. Here's what we'll cover. How to focus on what you can control in love. Why detaching from unrealistic expectations leads to greater harmony. The Stoic secret to handling conflict with calmness and reason. How to view love as a choice, not a need. The power of embracing impermanence in relationships. Why responding with virtue strengthens love. How to love without attachment to outcomes. Make sure to watch until the end, because the final lesson is the most important key to lasting love. And if you find these ideas helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help bring more Stoic wisdom into the world. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Focus on what you can control. One of the greatest struggles in love is the desire for control. We want certainty. We want things to go our way. We want our partner to always understand us, to never disappoint us, to respond exactly as we hope. But when reality doesn't align with our expectations, frustration creeps in. We overthink. We question their intentions. We feel hurt by things that may not even be real. But what if the problem isn't what our partner is doing? What if the real problem is our attachment to control? Stoicism teaches us one simple but life-changing truth. The key to peace in relationships, just like in life, is to focus only on what is within our power. Everything else is beyond us. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Epictetus. We cannot control how someone feels about us. We cannot control how they react, how they communicate, or how they process their emotions. But we can control how we interpret their actions, how we respond, and how much mental energy we give to things that are out of our hands. Let's take a simple example, one you may have experienced before. You send your partner a heartfelt message, and they don't reply for hours. At first, you brush it off, but as time passes, thoughts begin to flood your mind. Did I say something wrong? Are they ignoring me? Do they not care? Your heart rate speeds up. Anxiety builds. By the time they finally reply, a simple delay has turned into an emotional storm inside you. But what actually happened? Did your partner's late response cause your distress? Or was it your own interpretation of their actions? This is where Stoic wisdom becomes powerful. Instead of assuming the worst, remind yourself, their response time is outside of my control. What is within my control is how I choose to react. This shift in mindset changes everything. Instead of feeling anxious, you accept uncertainty with grace. Instead of letting your emotions spiral, You stay grounded in your own inner peace. This lesson applies to all aspects of love. You cannot control whether someone stays in your life forever. You cannot control if they always say the right thing. You cannot control their past, their emotions, or the depth of their love for you. But you can control how you show up in the relationship. You can control your patience, your understanding, and your ability to navigate challenges with calmness. And when you master this, you become unshakable. Not because you don't care, but because you have freed yourself from the exhausting need to control what was never yours to control in the first place. How to apply this in your relationship? Here's a practical exercise. The next time you feel frustrated in your relationship, ask yourself one question. Is this within my control? If the answer is yes, take meaningful action. If there's miscommunication, clarify. If you need more understanding, express it. If something feels off, address it with honesty and wisdom. If the answer is no, let it go. Breathe. Redirect your focus to something you can control. Your own actions, your own mindset, your own sense of inner peace. Imagine how much emotional stress you could avoid if you simply stopped worrying about things beyond your control. Imagine how much lighter love would feel without the weight of expectations pressing on it. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying to control love, love actually flourishes. Because love is not about possession, it is about presence. It is about showing up fully, appreciating what is, and letting go of what was never yours to dictate. True love is not built on control. It is built on freedom. Freedom to be, freedom to accept, and freedom to love without fear. Now, let's move on to the next Stoic lesson, one that will completely change how you view expectations in relationships. Number 2. Detach from unrealistic expectations. Love often begins as a dream. We imagine a perfect connection, a partner who understands us effortlessly, a relationship free from conflict and disappointments. But as time passes, reality sets in. Our partner isn't perfect. They have flaws, make mistakes, and sometimes fail to meet our expectations. And when this happens, we feel let down. Not because love has failed us, but because our expectations were never realistic to begin with. Stoicism teaches us that suffering often comes not from external events, but from our own false assumptions and rigid expectations. When we expect love to be without struggle, we suffer when challenges arise. When we expect our partner to always act the way we want, we set ourselves up for frustration. The key to peace in relationships is detachment from unrealistic expectations, loving what is rather than what we wish it to be. You are distressed because you wish things to happen as you desire, but I tell you, wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go smoothly. Epictetus. Think about this. Have you ever been upset because your partner didn't express love in the way you expected? Maybe they weren't as affectionate as you hoped. Maybe they didn't say the right words at the right time. Maybe they forgot something important. But step back for a moment. Was your frustration caused by their actions or by the idea you had in your mind of how they should act? This is where Stoicism for love offers clarity. Instead of clinging to rigid ideas of how love must look, we can embrace love as it is. Instead of expecting our partner to read our mind, we can communicate. Instead of expecting them to be perfect, we can accept that they, like us, are human, flawed, growing and learning. A powerful example comes from real relationships. Picture a couple arguing because one partner doesn't express love through words as much as the other would like. The expectation is, if they truly loved me, they would say it more often. But the Stoic approach would be, love is expressed in different ways. Do their actions show care? Do they support me in meaningful ways? Maybe their love is there. I've just been expecting it in the wrong form. By letting go of rigid expectations, relationships improve dramatically. Instead of focusing on what's missing, we start seeing what's already there. We stop demanding perfection and start appreciating the genuine love being offered to us. How to apply this in your relationship? The next time you feel disappointed in your relationship, ask yourself, am I upset because of reality or because of my expectations? If your frustration comes from an unrealistic assumption, let it go. Accept your partner for who they are, not who you want them to be. See their love in the way they express it, rather than forcing it to fit your idea of how it should be. Love flourishes when it is free. When we stop trying to mold it into a perfect fantasy, we begin to see its real beauty. The beauty of imperfection, growth, and genuine human connection. Now, let's move on to the next Stoic lesson. One that will help you master emotional resilience in love. Number 3, practice emotional resilience. Love is one of the most profound experiences in life, but it also tests us in ways nothing else can. One moment, we feel deeply connected. The next, we feel misunderstood, hurt, or even betrayed. When emotions take control, arguments escalate, words are said that can't be unsaid, and small misunderstandings turn into lasting wounds. But what if you could remain steady in the face of emotional storms? What if, instead of reacting impulsively, you could respond with wisdom and patience? This is the power of emotional resilience, the ability to stay grounded even when love challenges you. The Stoics believe that our emotions are not dictated by external events, but by our interpretation of those events. It's not what happens that disturbs us, it's how we perceive it. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Think about the last time you had a disagreement with your partner. Maybe they said something thoughtless. Maybe they didn't react the way you expected. Immediately your emotions flared up. Anger, disappointment, maybe even sadness. But pause for a moment. What if, instead of being swept away by emotion, you took a breath? What if, instead of assuming the worst, you gave yourself a moment to process? This is emotional resilience in action. It's the ability to create space between stimulus and response. Instead of being ruled by feelings, you observe them. Instead of reacting, you respond with wisdom. In relationships, this can be life-changing. Imagine how much stronger your love could be if you didn't let small conflicts spiral out of control. If, instead of meeting anger with anger, you met it with patience. If instead of taking things personally, you saw them as opportunities to grow together. Here's a simple example. Your partner forgets something important to you. A date, a promise, a small gesture that mattered. Your first reaction is frustration. How could they forget? Do they not care? But a Stoic approach would be different. Instead of assuming they don't value you, you recognize that forgetfulness is human. You calmly express your feelings without hostility, and in doing so, you build a healthier, more understanding relationship. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. The Stoics never taught us to be emotionless. They taught us to master our emotions rather than be mastered by them. To feel love deeply, without letting fear or insecurity corrupt it. To acknowledge pain, but not let it control our actions. When you practice emotional resilience, you gain three things. Peace. You no longer waste energy on unnecessary emotional turmoil. Strength. You handle conflict with clarity, not chaos. Deeper love. Your relationship grows, not through emotional reactions, but through patience, trust, and wisdom. How to apply this in your relationship? The next time you feel yourself getting upset, try this. Pause, breathe. Ask yourself, is my reaction serving me or harming me? If it's harming you, step back. Let the emotion pass before you speak. Give yourself time to choose a response that aligns with love and wisdom, rather than frustration or fear. This small habit can transform your relationship. Over time, you'll find that things that once triggered you no longer shake you. You'll experience love with greater clarity, greater patience, and greater peace. Now, let's move to the next Stoic lesson, one that will completely redefine how you view love as a choice, not a dependency. Number 4. View love as a choice, not a need. Love is often portrayed as something we need to be happy. We grow up hearing phrases like, "You complete me," or "I can't live without you." But this idea creates a dangerous illusion, one that makes love feel like a dependency rather than a conscious choice. Stoicism teaches us that love, like all aspects of life, should be approached with wisdom and self-mastery. Instead of clinging to love as something we require to feel whole, we should see it as something we choose freely, without attachment or fear. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. This applies directly to love. Many people fall into the trap of believing that their happiness depends on their partner's presence, validation, or actions. When that person pulls away, or when things don't go as expected, their world crumbles. But in reality, the suffering comes not from the situation itself, but from the false belief that love is a necessity rather than a choice. Imagine two people in a relationship. One is deeply afraid of losing the other, constantly seeking reassurance, feeling incomplete without them. The other, while equally devoted, knows that they do not need their partner to feel whole. They simply choose to share their life with them. Which person do you think experiences love with greater peace? This is the Stoic approach. Love is not about possession. It is not about filling an emotional void. It is about two independent individuals choosing each other every day, not out of desperation, but out of genuine appreciation. How to apply this in your relationship? The next time you feel anxious about love, ask yourself, am I clinging to love as a need, or am I embracing it as a choice? If love feels like a necessity, take a step back and reconnect with yourself. Love should enhance your life, not define it. If love feels like a choice, cherish it, but without fear of losing it. Love fully, but without attachment to control or outcome. This mindset frees you from jealousy, insecurity, and emotional dependence. It allows you to love deeply without fear, because true love is not found in control, but in freedom. Now, let's move on to the next Stoic lesson, one that will help you embrace the impermanence of love with gratitude and strength. Number 5. Accept that all things are temporary. Everything in life is temporary, including love. This is not a reason for despair, but a call to presence, appreciation, and inner peace. We enter relationships hoping for forever. We want to believe that love, once found, will never change. But reality tells us otherwise. Feelings evolve, people grow, circumstances shift, nothing remains the same. And yet, we suffer not because of love's impermanence, but because we refuse to accept it. Stoicism teaches us that true peace comes from embracing the fleeting nature of all things. When we cling to what must inevitably change, we create our own suffering. But when we accept that everything, including love, is temporary, we free ourselves to love fully, without fear, without desperation, without resistance. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. This applies to love as well. Imagine if you knew that this very moment with your partner could be your last. How much more present would you be? How much deeper would you appreciate their presence, their laughter, their small acts of kindness? When we accept love's impermanence, we stop taking it for granted. We cherish it as it is, rather than mourning what it might become. Think about a time in your life when a relationship ended, whether through distance, change, or even loss. At first, it may have felt unbearable, but eventually you adapted. You moved forward. Life continued. What felt like an ending became part of your growth. The same is true for every moment in love. Instead of resisting the truth that nothing lasts forever, use it as motivation to love deeply in the present. Appreciate your partner today, not because they will always be there, but because they are here now. Let go of the fear of losing love, and in doing so, you will experience it more fully than ever before. How to apply this in your relationship? When you find yourself fearing loss, whether through breakup, change, or even the natural passing of time, ask yourself, am I truly living this moment? Or am I clinging to an illusion of permanence? If you are stuck in fear, remind yourself that love, like all things, is meant to be experienced, not possessed. If you are resisting change, shift your focus to gratitude for what is, rather than fear of what could be lost. This mindset transforms relationships. Instead of demanding forever, we appreciate now. Instead of fearing change, we embrace growth. Instead of holding on to love with tight, desperate hands, we allow it to flow naturally, knowing that its value lies in its presence, not its permanence. Love is beautiful because it is fleeting. The most powerful way to honor it is to live it fully, today. Now, let's move to the next Stoic lesson, one that will show you how responding with virtue rather than emotion can strengthen your relationship in ways you never imagined. Number 6. Respond with virtue, not emotion. Love is often tested in moments of conflict, a misunderstood comment, a forgotten promise, a stressful day that turns into an argument. In these moments, emotions flare up: anger, frustration, sadness. Instinct tells us to react, to defend, to prove a point. But what if, instead of reacting impulsively, you could respond with wisdom? What if you could transform every conflict into an opportunity to strengthen your relationship rather than weaken it? Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in responding with virtue, not raw emotion. While emotions are natural, they should never dictate our actions. Instead, our responses should align with our values: patience, understanding, courage, and self-control. You always have the power of not having an opinion. There is never a need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. Marcus Aurelius. Think about a time when you reacted emotionally in a relationship. Maybe your partner said something hurtful, and without thinking, you snapped back. Maybe they forgot something important, and you lashed out in frustration. In the heat of the moment, It felt justified, but afterward, you regretted it. Now, imagine a different scenario. Your partner says something that upsets you, but instead of reacting immediately, you pause, you breathe. You ask yourself, is this worth my peace? What response aligns with who I want to be? By doing this, you choose your response rather than letting emotions control you. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. It's not about suppressing feelings, it's about ensuring they don't override reason. Applying this to love. When emotions run high in a relationship, practice the Stoic pause. Step back. Recognize that your first reaction may not be your best one. Examine the situation. Is this worth a fight? Is your interpretation accurate? Respond with virtue. Choose patience over anger, understanding over judgment, love over pride. This shift in mindset transforms relationships. Arguments become discussions. Frustrations become opportunities to grow. Love becomes stronger, built on wisdom rather than impulse. Imagine how much more peace you would feel if, instead of reacting emotionally, you responded with clarity. Imagine how much stronger your relationship would be if both you and your partner approached conflict with virtue, not ego. Now take a moment and reflect. How do I usually react in moments of conflict? Do my responses align with the kind of person I want to be? Your next disagreement is your next opportunity to practice this. Choose to respond, not react. Choose wisdom over impulse. And as we move forward, let's explore one final powerful Stoic lesson: the art of loving without attachment to outcomes. Number 7. Love without attachment to outcome. We often enter relationships with a silent hope, a vision of how things should unfold. We expect love to last, for feelings to remain constant, for our partner to fulfill our deepest needs. But what happens when reality doesn't match our expectations? When love shifts, when circumstances change, when the person we care for doesn't meet the image we had in our mind, most people react with fear. They cling to love, trying to control it, afraid that if they loosen their grip, it will slip away. This attachment to a specific outcome, whether it's staying together forever, receiving love in a particular way, or expecting happiness to always be guaranteed, creates suffering. Stoicism teaches us that true love is not about possession or guarantees. It is about giving freely, appreciating deeply, and accepting uncertainty. Do not tie your happiness to things outside of your control. Love, but never place your peace in another's hands. Epictetus. This is where most relationships go wrong. We mistake attachment for love. We believe that if we hold on tightly enough, we can prevent love from changing, from ending, from evolving into something unexpected. But the truth is, love, like everything else, is impermanent. No matter how much we try, we cannot control the future. We cannot dictate how another person feels. We cannot force love to stay. But we can choose how we love. We can choose to give love without expecting anything in return, to appreciate love without fearing its loss, to show up fully in a relationship, not because we are guaranteed a certain outcome, but because we are committed to the present moment. Imagine loving someone, not because they complete you, but because you choose to share your life with them. Imagine giving affection, not to receive something in return, but because it is simply an extension of who you are. Imagine letting go of the need for certainty and instead embracing love as it is, without demanding that it be anything else. This doesn't mean detaching from your partner emotionally. It means detaching from the illusion that love must always meet your expectations. It means recognizing that the only way to truly experience love is to release your grip on it, to stop controlling, stop fearing, stop needing it to be a certain way. How to apply this in your relationship? Ask yourself, am I loving freely, or am I attaching my happiness to a specific outcome? If you find yourself clinging to love out of fear, pause. Remind yourself that love is a gift, not a guarantee. If you catch yourself trying to control your partner's feelings or actions, step back. Focus on your own actions, your own choices, your own ability to love without conditions. If you fear losing love, shift your perspective. Instead of obsessing over whether love will last, appreciate it while it's here. When you embrace this mindset, relationships become lighter, freer, more fulfilling. You stop demanding perfection and start seeing love for what it truly is, a choice, a practice, a moment-by-moment experience. Let love flow. Let it evolve. Let it be what it is, without trying to force it into what you think it should be. Because love, when freed from attachment, becomes something far greater than just a feeling. It becomes a state of being. And with that, we conclude our Stoicism for Love journey, 7 lessons that, when applied, have the power to transform not just your relationships, but your entire approach to life. We've explored 7 Stoic lessons that have the power to transform how you approach love. First, we learn to focus on what we can control, shifting our attention inward rather than trying to change our partner. We let go of unrealistic expectations, choosing to love people as they are, not as we wish them to be. We practiced emotional resilience, refusing to let temporary emotions dictate our actions. We discovered that love is not a dependency, but a choice, one we make freely, without fear. We accepted that all things are temporary, learning to cherish love in the present rather than clinging to it in desperation. We committed to responding with virtue, not emotion, allowing wisdom to guide our relationships. And finally, we embrace the idea of loving without attachment to outcomes, appreciating love for what it is, rather than what we hope it will become. At its heart, Stoicism for Love is about approaching relationships with clarity, self-mastery, and wisdom. Love flourishes not when we control it, but when we nurture it without fear. When we stop grasping for certainty and instead embrace the present moment, we allow love to grow in its most authentic form. So how can you put these Stoic principles into practice? The next time frustration arises, pause before reacting. When expectations creep in, ask yourself if they are realistic. If fear of loss clouds your mind, remind yourself to love fully without clinging. Every moment in love is an opportunity to practice wisdom. And with each choice, you strengthen not just your relationship, but your character. By living these principles, you will reduce stress and overthinking in your relationship, strengthen emotional control, responding with patience and understanding, deepen connection with your partner by loving freely without fear or expectation. Love becomes lighter, stronger, more resilient. It stops being a source of anxiety and becomes what it was meant to be, a conscious, joyful choice. If these ideas resonate with you, don't just listen, live them. Leave a comment below. Which Stoic lesson spoke to you the most? Let's start a conversation. And if you found this video valuable, like, subscribe, and share so that more people can bring Stoic wisdom into their relationships. Thank you for watching Stoic Teachings today. Until next time, love wisely, live freely, and embrace the journey.